In this video, we're going to develop a choropleth map of the number of IPs per county from the 2001 UK FMD outbreak. Then we'll log transform the data and represent it in an easier way to display. So the first thing to do is to import the base layer from the country shapefile and set the display of this simple fill, outline style to dark grey, and select the projection at this point, enable projection on the fly and set it as WGS84 pseudo-Mercator and zoom in on the area that you're most interested in. Then import the Great Britain counties file and on top of this then bring in the IP dataset, which is in comma separated variable format. It automatically recognises that the column X is the X variable and column Y is the Y variable. Click OK. It tells you that one record is missing its X and Y. This dataset is in the British National Grid system, EPSG 27700, so select that so it knows how to transform that, and just check that we're still in WGS Mercator. And those colours are pretty psychedelic, so we might just set the point colours to yellow and reduce the point size just so it's a bit easier to see. And the next thing that we're up to is exporting both the county polygon file and the IP point file in this new projected coordinates reference system, WGS pseudo-Mercator. And that's just so that when we run a points in polygons analysis, everything's in the same coordinate reference system. So first thing, right click on the points layer, select Save As, and where it says Coordinate Reference System, select the project CRS, which is in WGS 84 pseudo-Mercator. You'll have to give it a name, browse to wherever you're working, and label that with something appropriate. I usually include the Coordinate Reference System name and select OK. Then do the same for the counties layer. At this point you can remove the two layers that we're no longer using and select Vector, Analysis Tools, Points in Polygons. It's automatically recognised the two layers we want, but you could select them here otherwise. And you'll have to name this as well. And select OK. When this is done, close the box and it's added this layer back in. So if you open up the attribute table by right clicking and then head across to the right, you'll see it's added a column point count, which is the count of IPs, the count of those points within each polygon. And if you click on the right here to sort, you can click it twice, it sorts in descending order. You can see that the one county's got 890 IPs in it. If you head across to the name, you'll find that was Cumbria, and these are now sorted in order. You can see all the counties with the most IPs in them. If you right click and select properties, then select graduated symbols, tell it to do this based on the point count column, and we'll use 5 classes and use the equal count quantile function and click OK. This is not very informative because the distribution's highly skewed. So what we'll do is we'll transform the data for better display by log 10. So heading back into the style menu, And if you click on the E for equations button, up comes a dialog, and if you enter the formula log 10 and brackets and double quotes and select OK, then clicking on the classes again, it will reclassify the levels based on the transform data. If you now click OK, you can either get rid of that base layer by just turning it off. Better still, I would go into the style properties of that layer, select simple outline, and then all the counties that you've actually counted over with 0 values and then show up in white underneath those counties that have actually got counts. The final thing to do is to format a legend appropriately, and so if you head back into the style menu of the layer of the log transformed point count layer, then you can reset the values here for how many IPs there are per county just by double clicking on that label. So this 0 to 0, we can just enter a 0. The next series of values are a little hard to interpret in this format, so the simplest thing to do now is head to Excel, exponentiate these because they're powers of 10, and then that'll give you a good idea of what to call your class levels. Then heading to Excel, if we put those numbers in, 0, 0.48, 0.95, then in B1 enter the formula 10 up arrow, which means to the power of, and select A1. The value 0 represents 1 IP in that county, and if we copy that formula just by extending down, you get a very quick idea of the breakpoints. To make this clearer, I might then enter the formula round to 0 digits after the decimal place and copy that to all the cells, and there are your breakpoints. Heading back to QGIS, you can now redo these labels in the back transform scale. So double click on the label, and where there's zeros, you can, as the bottom of the category, you can replace that with 1. Then I like to enter 2 rather than a hyphen, which can be confused with a minus sign. Now 0.48 is the bottom of the next category, and that's 10 to the power of 0.48 is 3 IPs. So talking in individual IPs, discrete values, then the upper limit of this category is 2 IPs. Heading to the next category, that lower level is 3. And 0.95 is 9, so that's the lower limit of the next category up. So we'll enter 8 here and enter 9 there, and 47, and finally 48 to 890, the last category, and select OK. You can rename the layer as IPs per county. Then to add a legend to the map and prepare it for export, go to Project menu, New Print Composer, select OK. This brings up a dialog box. Once the Print Composer opens, the first thing to do is head to the Layout menu and select Add Map, and then highlight the area that you want your map to be in on the page, which you may as well fill up the whole page here, and it'll bring up your map. Then in the Layout menu, Add Legend, and select the area you want your legend to sit in, and it'll give you a bit more than what you want. So first thing to do is on the Item Properties menu box down here, select Auto Update, turn that off. You may want to get rid of the title, or you may want another title for the legend. Then select any of the layers you want to get rid of. And you can move that around. Also add in a north arrow. And a scale bar. It's also good to add in a text box with add label, and in that you can put the title of the map, which in this case would be FMD 2001 UK outbreak, and below that I'd put the projection information and just extend that box so it all fits and put it where you want it. Finally, select export as image and call that something, and you're away. You can also export as a PDF or print the map as is.